Y'all need a sound check or anything? Are you guys good?
Sounds good.
We're good.
Good morning. Welcome. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Michael Scott McVoy with the Jeffersonville Police Department. Today's critical incident briefing is intended to provide you with information regarding a law enforcement officer-involved shooting which occurred in the West Patrol Division with the City of Jeffersonville on March 9th, 2023 at approximately 6:37 p.m. You are about to view relevant video footage and learn about police procedure and other evidence that are related to the case so that you may have a better understanding of what occurred based on what we know right now. The Jeffersonville Police Department, along with our law enforcement partners, specifically in this case the Indiana State Police, produce very thorough investigations which require agencies involved to interview multiple witnesses, view and analyze numerous hours of body-worn camera footage, as well as collect forensic evidence. The Jeffersonville Police Department and the Indiana State Police are in the early stages of the investigation, in which many cases can take up to 1 year or more. I'll provide you a word of caution. The images and video that you are about to watch may be disturbing. When a law enforcement officer uses force to arrest or detain a suspect, those images can be graphic and difficult to watch. There may also be strong language by those shown in the video. Viewer discretion is advised, especially young children and those who are sensitive viewers. Questions will be taken after the presentation of the BWC footage and the pertinent facts are delivered. Please understand that many questions may not be able to be answered at this time, as this is still an open investigation with the Indiana State Police, as well as the administrative internal investigation with the Jeffersonville Police Department. Please understand this briefing is solely intended to focus on the events that occurred on March 9th, 2023. At this time, I would like to introduce to you Major Joshua Lynch. Major Lynch is the Uniform Patrol Commander for the Jeffersonville Police Department, as well as the Training Commander. Major Lynch will present the timeline and body-worn camera footage, as well as radio traffic, and narrate the course of events that occurred involving the Jeffersonville police officers on that date. Major Lynch.
Thank you, Assistant Chief. Good morning. Like the Assistant Chief said, my name is Major Joshua Lynch. I'm the Patrol Commander and the Training Commander for the Jeffersonville Police Department. I'm going to go through the incident that occurred, the body-worn camera footage, and I will be pausing that footage periodically to explain some of the actions that are taking place and the lingo that you're hearing so that you have a better understanding of what is going on. You're also going to see a timeline of events that are going to show how quickly the situation evolved. What you see now on the screen is a overview of 1501 East 8th Street, the East Lawn Arms Apartments. As you can see in the yellow square, that is the apartment complex. As you'll notice that there are several buildings and that this is a highly densely populated area. Indicated by the red square, and what you'll see in the video is the area that the suspect was first observed with the weapon as officers were on the scene. In relation to where the suspect was observed, this star indicates where the officers and the witnesses were while the officers were obtaining information, trying to confirm exactly what was going on when they first observed the suspect, and what you'll find is here the gunfire that takes place. To give you a closer look, here's the red square again showing the parking lot that the suspect was observed, and after the suspect's first gunshot, officers took position indicated by the gold stars that show the positions of the officers in relation to where the suspect was at that time. The white arrow indicates the direction in which the suspect advanced on the officer's position, and the white star will indicate where that engagement took place. between the officers and the suspect. I'm going to introduce you to the officers that were assigned that night and responded to that call for service. Corporal Aaron Olson has been serving with the Jeffersonville Police Department since 2011. Corporal Olson is a patrol supervisor, a field training officer, a SWAT team member, and a certified instructor. Corporal Sean Diark has been serving with the Jeffersonville Police Department since 2016. He is also a patrol supervisor, field training officer, and a member of our QRT. Officer Hunter Powell has been serving with the Jeffersonville Police Department since 2018. He is a patrol officer and a canine handler. Officer Michael Mashinsky has been serving with the department since 2021. He is a patrol officer and a QRT member. And lastly, Officer Seth Christian, serving since 2021, and he is a patrol officer. These 5 officers are the officers that responded to the scene. You'll hear in the radio traffic here in a moment that they responded after being dispatched to 1501 East 8th Street. Sorry. All right, I'm going to show you a timeline of events so you can understand how quickly the situation evolved. At 6:37 p.m., the dispatcher stated that a resident at this address is on Signal 60, standing outside with a pistol in his hand, and his name is Robert. Signal 60, what you'll hear on the radio traffic, Signal 60 is a code that's used for radio traffic for narcotics. So what the officer is being told is that the caller believes that the subject is under the influence of narcotics. 3 minutes later, at 6:40 p.m., Officer Powell arrives on the scene. At 6:42 p.m., Officer Powell requests a dedicated operations channel. You'll hear in the footage, he'll say ops channel. An operations channel is a dedicated channel separate from the main dispatch channel. Officers will do this to have a separate channel where they're not competing for airtime with the entire county. Does that make sense? At 6:42 p.m., Officer Mashinsky arrives on the scene. 1 minute later, Officer Seth Christian arrives on the scene. And at that moment, dispatch advises officers that the caller believes that he is paranoid, believing that SWAT is coming for him. At 6:50 p.m., Corporal Diark arrives on the scene. 2 minutes later, Corporal Olson arrives on the scene. In that time frame, about approximately 10 minutes, officers are communicating with the witness and trying to ascertain information about what is going on and where the subject was last seen. At 7:03 p.m., you'll see in the body cam footage that Corporal Olson advises over the radio that the male has something in his left hand, but he is unable to advise. At 7:04 p.m., Officer Mashinsky notifies radio that the subject is shooting in the air, and that is the first shot, 7:04. Also at 7:04, Officer Powell notifies dispatch that the subject is now aiming at police officers. At 7:04, the subject fires the second shot. 7:06, the subject then advances on the officer's position, relevant to the map that I showed you moments ago, raises his firearm to a shooting position, and the officers engaged him. Officer Powell announces to dispatch, shots fired, EMS code 3. And if you're not aware, code 3 is asking for an emergency response by EMS. 7:07 p.m., Officer Powell announces on the radio that a medical kit is on scene and they are rendering aid. I want to take note that 1 minute after the shooting incident occurred, that officers were on scene with a medical kit, and you'll see that in real time on body cam footage. And just 3 minutes later, EMS arrives on scene. All right, we are going to now watch the video.